Community Health Systems, ticker CYH. We're looking at this thing. It's been breaking out a little bit, but we are absolutely jacked on where it could be going.
I'm jacked to the Twits!
And what it's doing right now. It's currently breaking out. It's been pretty beaten up over the past 5 years. It's really been in a downtrend since the middle of 2015. I mean, a horrible fell off a cliff. They did some really questionable purchases, but we'll get into that once we get into the fundamentals. But yeah, so it's a technical breakout, and we'll get into the technicals on that. We'll get into the entire fundamental breakdown of why it's a purchase and why it's kind of a turnaround, and what our price targets are. I know it's trading right at about 11.50 the last time I looked in pre-market. No, 11.30, 11.31. We'll be setting up our price targets from what I'm looking at, support and resistance. We're looking at, from our position, roughly about 100% gain on the price on our first initial price target, but this could be a multi-year banger. Okay, so here we have it. We're on FinViz. Again, we only use this for a very high-level overview to see if a company is worth going in and actually digging through SEC documentation and coming up with a fundamental reason to buy it. Real quick, I wanted to bring up this long monthly chart to kind of show you the areas that it's come from. It was about $52 back in the middle of 2015, and then it fell off an absolute cliff. Fell off of this cliff because it made some questionable acquisitions. They made a $7.5 billion purchase of a Florida-based company called Health Management Associates. Also, they were hit with some lawsuits here. There was a $75 million lawsuit from New Mexico, and I think there was another one in there as well. To kind of finish the death nail on this one, in November of 2016, Trump was elected, and Trump's big push in his entire campaign was to get rid of Obamacare. So that sent it all the way from 52 to basically bottoming a year later, just a little over a year later, at about $5, and then it drifted down to $1.78. I want to say is the lowest I'd ever gotten in 2019. Now, there is a lot of crap that comes with this company, but it is what I feel is a very good turnaround company. So let's get into some of the fundamentals and figure out where we think it's going to be going and if it's a good investment for us. Again, this is just we're not giving investment advice. This is purely educational. But let's dive into it. We're looking at a $1.2 billion market cap, which is phenomenal because the rest in this sector generally run for decently ran companies between 20 and 30, $1.2 billion market cap, which gives it a PE of 2.6. Now, others in this area generally run between a PE ratio of 20 to 30. So this is extremely undervalued for what it is. Of that 1.2 billion, 511 was income, and then that's based on 11.79 billion in sales. Now, looking forward, earnings per share growth is looking at about 173% estimated for the earnings per share this year, and then a slammer of 2,200% next year. So that's one of the reasons why I think this is a multi-year hold. Now, let's get into the SEC filings and dig through some of this crap. And the biggest pile of crap is this, $18.4 billion in debt. Now, I just got off of listening to the earnings call for the second time, and they said they've rolled out their first payment of this debt to 2024, but let's just dig over what's in their earnings report themselves. 2021, we have $1.3 billion coming up for service. Between 2022 and 2024, that's looking at $7.1 billion, and then 25-26 is $4.8 billion, and beyond that is $5.1 billion. So that's what we know to be kind of true based off of this. Again, their earnings report is saying their first debt payment's going to be in 2024, and they've actually rolled a lot of this out to beyond 2030. So that is a very bullish area, especially when you look at how they've trimmed their fat. So in 2018, they had 113 hospitals with 18,000 beds, 102 hospitals with 16,000 beds in 2019, and now they're down to 89 hospitals with 14,000 beds. Now, sometimes this might look kind of negative, but a lot of the stuff that they pinched off was absolute dog shit. So basically what that relates into, or what that turns into, is in 2018 they had $788 million loss. In 2019 they had a $675 million loss. But in 2020, during the midst of the cerveza sickness, they actually turned a $511 million profit. Just for a beta, that's 1.6 in 2018 and 2019, and 1.8 billion in 2020. Now, another really good thing that I see is the past 3 earnings reports have been very, very bullish in my eyes. So in in 7/28 of 2020, they reported earnings of 85 cents per share. 10/27, they reported an earnings of 18 cents per share. And 2021, 2/17 of 2021, they reported a 96 cents per share earnings. So that is phenomenal. They are definitely going in the right direction. Now that we kind of have a picture of where the fundamentals are, let's look at it at a technical aspect. Now, I am purchasing and currently purchasing as this market is live, and I've shot this video 3 or 4 times, but let's look at the long-term chart and what we know to be true. Now, this thing is going to go back. Let's go to the monthly, and this is going to get all jacked, isn't it? Yep. Let's go to the monthly, and this goes over the last like 20 years or so, and look at long-term support resistance areas. So we have support resistance in this 1350 to 1380 range back from 2011, 2012. We've got another support resistance range around that 2160, 2180 range, somewhere around there, back from 2010. The next whole area of kind of resistance and support is about the 3411 range, let's call it. And that's this whole area that's running right in here with these double top and then kind of just a whole mess of a crap area. And then beyond that, we have kind of this area of support resistance right around the $39 range. And I'm just doing that and going over that so you know where these lines are coming from, and I'm just not just pulling it out of my ass. So again, this is the monthly chart. Let's take this to the weekly, back to the weekly. Get a little bit closer on this, and I don't know why my charts are getting so jacked. So we know those resistance and support areas. Another thing is we've got the, what is this? The 100-day moving against the 200. The 50 and the 20 have already moved above the 1 and 200. This is going to be another very bullish move. I've been buying throughout the morning. I was really hoping this was going to come back down to about the 1017 range and retest this support. If it does, I will go in and I will average down. But that's kind of where we're at. I'm extremely bullish on this, so I am slightly, I guess, chasing it, but it is going up with good volume. I mean, that is substantial volume. Today is a little low. We're only about an hour, well, no, not even 40 minutes into the day, but we are on, well, for the week, we're looking at 800,000 volume. So that is just today. Which is pretty substantial, and it's continuing up. Now, looking at where we might be taking profits or where we might be looking at exiting, that 1350 range, if it starts getting rejected here pretty hard, we might look at taking profits and then putting it back on if it goes above, and that's just us. Again, our next price target is around that $21 range, and this is a very feasible range for us, and if we get rejected here, we might be looking at taking profits. Now, if it breaks above it beyond that and uses this as support, we'd be looking at putting this trade back on. The nice thing about being in a long-term trade is once you already do your homework, you can execute your trades without any hesitation. So you know this to be true. It'll continue. You know, you're on the top side of it. You put your trade on. You don't have to do much analysis or thinking. If we continue on this trend line, which I think it'll probably basically follow this all the way up. So we might, if we go above this, we're going to put on another buy, and this takes us to that $30-$40 range. This is a phenomenal trade in our eyes. I mean, it is a fucking banger, guys. Absolute banger. So that's our analysis of it. If you like the video, please like, share, and subscribe. Also check out our Patreon. We are going to be offering for all our patrons the ability to vote on what we trade. So we'll be doing we'll be doing fundamental analysis of companies, and then throughout the month, and at the end of the month, everybody can vote on basically what we have done analysis on and what we should be adding to our portfolio. So it gives a cool little way for everybody to interact with us and see where things go, and absolutely put our money where our mouth is. And we will be matching every dollar that goes into that with our own money. So if you like the video, like, share, subscribe. Have a great day, guys.